It should be no surprise Trump has struggled to stay awake today during his cabinet meeting, dozing off at times, looking exhausted because he spent most of the night up, posting on Truth Social, hundreds of posts, reposts, retruths, and spent majority of the night in the early hours doing this, and he is struggling during this cabinet meeting. Check it out.
We are not going to educate our children. We're going to continue to fall behind the rest of the world. When there are only 30% of 12th graders, 8th graders, and 4th graders that can read at proficiency level, that is an incredibly harsh statement to make about our country. And you told me when you first were elected president, and you looked at, I think, right after you took office, the first NAEP scores, which is Nation's Report Card, came out and showed how far down we had to do something to change this in our country. And we took a hard look at it, and you absolutely said the bureaucracy of education in Washington is keeping its...
At one point, he lifts up his hand and then quickly pulls it back as he realized he probably shouldn't have done that. And look what's on his hand.
It has to be done at the state level. So what we've been doing at state level. So what we've been doing
Band-Aids, likely covering up his bruising from the IVs he's getting. And yesterday they're telling us he's totally healthy, perfect MRIs, he's in totally perfect health. Give me a break, guys. They're totally lying to us, covering this up. This is one of the biggest cover-ups in history, worse than what the Democrats did with Biden. This is worse by a long shot because this guy has serious medical issues.
And we've been working really very hard to make sure that we've got anti-Semitism and DEI.
I mean, does this look like a president in top physical performance, ready to carry out this job, the most demanding job in the world? Let me know if you agree, what your thoughts are on this in the comments. Like, share, spread the word, let everyone know. Follow, subscribe, and I'll see you back here for the 411.
Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth both threw Admiral Bradley right under the bus and backed over him again during today's cabinet meeting. Once again, trying to shift the blame away from Pete Hegseth to Admiral Bradley. Pete Hegseth says, yeah, I watched the first part of the strike live and then I'm too busy, so I had to go on to other meetings. And hours later, I was told of the second strike, which was the right move. So right there, we have Pete Hegseth admitting that murdering innocent civilians is the right move, that he fully supports what Admiral Bradley did, even as he's saying those weren't my orders. We know by a number of sources that Pete Hegseth gave the kill orders. We know that Pete Hegseth, by his own admission in multiple news reports, watched the attack through its entirety live. And he reaffirmed that today, but then tried to distance himself from the second strike. Once again, the White House is admitting that they knew that people were killed, that people were murdered, and they're trying to put the blame on somebody else. Even as Donald Trump fell asleep throughout the cabinet meeting, he did stay awake while Pete Hegseth was trying to explain away his own failings and his own crimes.
So I did watch the Donald Trump cabinet meeting this afternoon, where basically they're just around a table giving him high fives and compliments for the whole time. They're all taking turns in giving him compliments, and of course he loves it, and then he falls asleep. And he fell asleep a couple of times, dozed off a few times. But I would say this, that during the press conference afterwards, Donald Trump said something which I thought, oh my gosh, is this guy out of touch or what? So the affordability crisis in the United States, according to Donald Trump, is an engineered con job by the Democratic Party. He says there's no affordability crisis in the United States. When people say the price of bread has gone up 20% in the last 6 months, that's a lie. It's not true. That's statistics that have been falsely engineered by the Democratic Party. And this went on and on and on. And then he talked about nations ripping it off. He wasn't going to mention the names of the nations that ripped them off, but he said one of them was called Japan, the other one was called South Korea. Folks, the source for this is Fox News. Let me know what you think about this in the comments.
The American people definitely know who their president is. He shows his face every single day and takes tough questions from the media, who absolutely are out to destroy him every single day. You know, we've had so many years of failed policy, failed leadership, And now we have a leader in the United States of America, once again, that's looking out for the greater good of our nation, the United States.
Our old, nearly senile president scheduled a cabinet meeting and then slept through the vast majority of it.
First of all, this is a very talented team, as you've seen, and as you know, because you picked every single one that's on you, deserve tremendous.
I like how he nods his head over, pretending like he's actively listening when he's clearly not.
For the first time in a long time, we have a president who basically puts America at the forefront of every decision we make in our...
No, he does not. He's sleeping through this entire thing.
We are doing so many things, whether it's hundreds of homeless camps, thousands of...
The New York Times wrote about 68 articles when there was a rumor that Biden went to sleep at like 7. Well, Donald Trump's cutoff time seems to be 1:39 p.m. The commander-in-chief of the United States has to tap out of his duties, is not sharp, present, or coherent, which actually leads you to wonder, who's running the country? I mean, I love this. I love how he's shaking his head as if he's listening.
45 minutes filling out forms on a clipboard.
You're not listening, bro. The next cabinet meeting, Trump is going to have like open eyes drawn on. Pete Hegseth is essentially doubling down on the idea that they're striking narco boats. And I forgot to tell you, Trump is sleeping while he's doing this.
And then it's getting after and going after narco terrorists and designated terrorist organizations in our own hemisphere. They've done the right things. We'll keep doing that. And we have their backs, Mr. President.
Good job. Thank you very much.
Good job. Was he even listening? Was Trump sleeping during this one? Dude, he's sleeping during all of this. I was going to say I can't believe it. I can believe it.
So Donald Trump had another one of his North Korean style cabinet meetings today, where everybody goes around and they give him all kinds of praise, totally give him credit for things he had no control over, lie about the facts, say things that are outrageous and ridiculous. I mean, it's so cringeworthy, I can't even hear it. In fact, Kristi Noem, to top everybody else, said, "Thank you, Mr. President, for not allowing any hurricanes to hit the country," as if this guy with makeup and heel lifts is so powerful that he controls the weather. But the part that really stood out to me, because, he spent all this time talking about so-called sleepy Joe Biden, is the fact that he was like a big old man baby just sitting there listening, asleep, totally. Like 5 different times the guy passed out. Totally obvious. Look at this. Marco Rubio sitting right next to him, using his hands, being all intent, talking about some kind of major foreign policy accomplishment. And look at Trump. That dude is just out. Sawing logs, thinking about the memories, don't know what he's doing. But, he should not be president for a million reasons. This is another one. Add it to the list.
People want to talk about Sleepy Joe, yet nobody wants to talk about Donald Trump literally falling asleep during his cabinet meeting today while Marco Rubio was speaking. Look at this.
Global coalition of countries that line up behind the peace deal, behind the border peace, and it's still every day is a challenge. But it's been driven personally by the president. It's the reason why we're...
What concerns me the most is this administration's pure disregard for optics. That gives me the impression that they think they're going to hold on to power no matter what, that it doesn't matter what they do, how they look, how they're perceived by the public. They don't care that they're polling in the dumpster right now because they know they can rig the rules of the game to maintain this status quo. They are the new deep state. They are the Epstein class, and they are trying to put us in an endless regime change war with Venezuela. Although Trump doesn't even seem excited about that, he's sleeping through the whole meeting. It is BS, though, that I have to stay awake and watch this, and the President of the United States is completely checked out on what's happening in this country. He needs to be removed from office immediately.
President Trump is now threatening attacks on other countries besides just Venezuela in his war on drugs. During his cabinet meeting at the White House, he said, and I quote, "Anybody who's doing that or selling it into our country is subject to attack." And yes, this is the same guy who campaigned on no new wars. That is also the same president who just pardoned Juan Orlando Hernandez, a kingpin in the drug industry who has trafficked over 400 pounds of cocaine into the United States.
Hey guys, so today I have your national news for Tuesday, December 2nd. So President Trump held his 9th cabinet meeting of his second term. So he spoke with reporters at the White House on a variety of topics today. And I have some voicers discussing all that. So we're going to kind of go through some of those. This one is talking about essentially drug trafficking in the U.S. The president says any country involved in trafficking drugs into our country should be on high alert as military carries out strikes on boats suspected to be carrying drugs into the water. So here's that right here.
Whether it's fentanyl or cocaine, I hear Colombia, the country of Colombia, is making cocaine. They have cocaine manufacturing plants, okay? And then they sell us their cocaine. We appreciate that very much. But yeah, anybody that's doing that and selling it into our country is subject to attack.
This is in regards to Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem tells the president her findings thus far and allegations of a fraud scheme in Minnesota.
You told me to look into Minnesota and their fraud on visas and their programs. 50% of them are fraudulent, which means that wacko Governor Walz either is an idiot or he did it on purpose.
This is again Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says ICE continues to beef up force.
We're going to hire our 10,000th ICE officer will be on the job within 10 days. So we have hired 10,000. We've had hundreds of thousands of applications.
This is on the topic of air traffic control.
We're doing a brand new air traffic control system, and it's going to be the best, and it's going to be from top to bottom, and we have the 3 top companies in the world bidding on it. And it's going to be one bid, and we're going to have one company responsible, and it'll be the best system.
Here's the president talking about his administration's work on border security and immigration.
We're going to New Orleans pretty soon. Over there, the governor called me. He'd like to have us go there. Governor Landry, great guy, great governor. He's asked for help in New Orleans, and we're going to go there in a couple of weeks.
Here's also the president talking about the 20-year-old Sarah Beckstrom, the National Guard service member who died as a result of the shooting that took place last week in D.C.
She passed away. She's looking down on us now, and she loves her parents, and they loved her. They were, somebody said, how are they doing? I said, the word is devastated. Doing. How are they going to do? They're devastated. The rest of their lives they're going to be devastated. She was an incredible person.
And this is on the apparent broker peace in the war between Russia and Ukraine.
And our people are over in Russia right now to see if we can get it settled. Not an easy situation. Let me tell you what a mess. It's a war that never would have happened if I were president.
Last thing I will share about him talking today is regarding healthcare here.
I want the money to go to the people. Let all the money go to the people, and let the people go out and buy their own health care.
Just kidding, 2 more. This is on the economy.
We're going to be giving back refunds out of the tariffs because we've taken in literally trillions of dollars, and we're going to be giving a nice dividend to the people in addition to reducing debt.
And on drug prices.
Nobody's ever heard of it before because I instituted favored nations. And no nation agreed to do it. And then I said to the nations, if you're not going to do it, I'm going to charge you 100% tariff.
Our old, nearly senile president scheduled a cabinet meeting and then slept through the vast majority of it. While each one of his cabinet members spoke, Donald Trump was sleeping. Marco Rubio, for example.
First of all, this is a very talented team, as you've seen, and as you know, because you picked every single one that's on you deserve to.
I like how he nods his head over, pretending like he's actively listening when he's clearly not.
First of all, this is a very talented team, as you've seen, and as you know, because you picked every single one that's on you deserve tremendous credit for doing that. It's an honor to be in this role. It's also an honor to be involved in and be a witness to what I believe is the most transformational year in American foreign policy since the end of the Second World War, at least.
Yeah, transformational in the sense that we've tariffed essentially every country except for Russia and North Korea, and we've given Russia so much leeway that they're now drafting a peace plan that is just going to absorb a lot of Ukraine. Really transformational in the wrong direction. Oh, what about the ceasefire between Israel and Gaza that lasted for 48 hours?
And it's transformational because for the first time in a long time, we have a president who basically puts America at the forefront of every decision we make in our...
No, he does not. He's sleeping through this entire thing. Okay, then Doug Burgum, the Interior Secretary, begins to speak. Donald Trump's active listening skills, not too hot in this either.
Been thrilled to be part of the National Park Service, the U.S. Park Police, part of this great effort across a number of us on making D.C. safe and beautiful. This will be the safest and most beautiful capital in the world. We are doing so many things, whether it's hundreds of homeless camps, thousands of...
The New York Times wrote about 68 articles when Biden's sleep time, or when there was a rumor that Biden went to sleep at like 7, or that his cutoff time for the day was 6 p.m. Well, Donald Trump's cutoff time seems to be 1:39 p.m. The commander-in-chief of the United States has to tap out of his duties, is not sharp, present, or coherent, which actually leads you to wonder, who's running the country? Is it Stephen Miller? I mean, Donald Trump, for example, when he was asked on Air Force One, who pardoned this person? And when he was asked about Hegseth's boat strikes, he said to both, he doesn't know anything about it.
About the strikes and the controversy around Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth.
I don't know anything about it. He said he did not say that, and I believe him.
So he doesn't know anything about that. And then a few seconds later, he's asked about a different scenario.
You've made so clear how you want to keep drugs out of the U.S. Right. Can you explain more about why you would pardon a notorious drug trafficker?
Well, I don't know who you're talking about. Which
Juan Orlando Hernandez.
Well, I was asked by Honduras, many of the people of Honduras.
So this guy's just easily manipulated. I was told by people that he should be pardoned. I don't really know who you're talking about. This is the guy who's falling asleep as RFK then speaks. Listen, RFK speaks, and Donald Trump...
If you lived in New Jersey and you moved to Oregon and you got injured, you went to a hospital, you would have to spend maybe 45 minutes filling out forms on a clipboard because your doctors there could not get your healthcare records. They couldn't get your blood type.
I mean, I love this. I love how he's shaking his head as if he's listening.
45 minutes filling out forms on a clipboard.
You're not listening, bro. The next cabinet meeting, Trump is going to have like open eyes drawn on. This explains why he's never in the know when he's asked about huge things that happened. There's a lot of projection going on. Donald Trump is worried about his age, his sleepiness, his cognitive decline. So he puts an auto pen of Joe Biden on the wall, a photo of like an auto pen in place of Joe Biden, to try to project and try to draw attention to that. He talks relentlessly about auto pen investigations when he's the one who, as I just illustrated, doesn't know in multiple scenarios what's happening. Now, first of all, make sure you drop a like and subscribe to the Adam Mockler feed. Secondly, when Donald Trump did begin to speak, it was the worst, most incoherent thing ever as usual. In one clip, he says that affordability is essentially a Democratic scam. Donald Trump is so reactively against everything that Democrats are for that if Zohran Mamdani and Gavin Newsom ran on just like hygiene, being hygienic, Trump would be like, hygiene is a scam. Or if we ran on any common sense thing, like, hey, maybe you shouldn't repeatedly punch yourself in the face, Trump would be like, that's a scam. Just listen to how he talks about affordability.
The last few minutes of Trump's cabinet meeting was absolutely insane. He not only called Tim Walz incompetent, he called J.D. Vance incompetent. And then it just went off into crazy land. My mouth was wide open for the last of it. Here's how it went.
He's a grossly incompetent man. I thought that from the day I watched JD destroy him in a debate. I was saying, who was more incompetent, that man or my man? I had a man and he had a man. They were both incompetent, and I had a man and a woman. I thought she was very incompetent too, but now she's leading the field, and I think she's leading the field for the nomination. Anyway, look, that's up to them. Waltz is a grossly incompetent man. There's something wrong with him, okay? There's something wrong with him. And when you look at what he's done with Somalia, which is barely a country, you know, they have no anything. They just run around killing each other. There's no structure. And when I see somebody like Ilhan Omar, who I don't know at all, but I always watch her for years. I've watched her complain about our Constitution, how she's being treated badly. Our Constitution, the United States of America, is a bad place. Hates everybody, hates Jewish people, hates everybody. And I think she's an incompetent person. She's a real terrible person. But when I watch what is happening in Minnesota, the land of 1,000 lakes, or however many lakes they have, they got a lot of lakes, but this beautiful place, and I see these people ripping it off, and now I'm understanding, and you're going to look at that, Scott, I hear they ripped off Somalians, ripped off that state for billions of dollars, billions, every year, billions of dollars, and they contribute nothing. The welfare is like 88%. They contribute nothing. I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you, okay? Somebody would say, oh, that's not politically correct. I don't care. I don't want them in our country. Their country's no good for a reason. Their country stinks, and we don't want them in our country. I can say that about other countries, too. I can say it about other countries, too. We don't want them to hell. We have to rebuild our country. You know, our country's at a tipping point. We could go bad. We're at a tipping point. I don't know if people mind me saying that, but I'm saying it. We could go one way or the other, and we're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country. Ilhan Omar is garbage. She's garbage. Her friends are garbage. These aren't people that work. These aren't people that say, let's go, come on, let's make this place great. These are people that do nothing but complain. They complain. And from where they came from, they got nothing. You know, they came from paradise, and they said, this isn't paradise. But when they come from hell, and they complain, and do nothing but bitch, we don't want them in our country. Let them go back to where they came from and fix it. Okay.